Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner East. And we're at Colonel Crawford Intermediate School tonight for this presentation, All Colonel Crawford Winter Sports. Show brought to you in part by Lee Plymouth and Brad Seibert at the Plymouth Insurance Group, Galleon and Bucyrus, North Central State College, Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center, North Walnut Street across from the courthouse in Bucyrus. Phil and Sue Schreck at Phil's Deli, just east of the Pizza Hut at the Bridge in Galleon, and John Rolls at John's Auto Repair Specialist, 800 Scott Street in Crestline. A little later on tonight it'll be Shelley Ashley and the swim team from Colonel Crawford. Prior to that, it'll be Zach Bauer and the girls basketball team coming off a tough loss at Buckeye Central last night. But to kick us off tonight, it's David Sheldon and the boys basketball program. Coach Sheldon, good to see you again. Crazy since the last time we were here was before the holidays. Now we're after holidays. And unfortunately, we talked about weather maybe playing a role in that big event over at Winford, that Donworth Gymnasium, the House of Thrills, as you like to call it. And, of course, the weather did show up, so that was postponed. There is a makeup date for that, correct?
Yeah, it's January 24th, but it's boys are separate. The girls is in February sometime. We just couldn't find a day where they could do them both on the same time. So, and I think we're playing back in the new gym.
Oh, it is. Okay, I wondered about that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, but it's January 24th for the makeup.
And what day? I don't even know what day it is.
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
Yep,
okay.
Tuesday night.
All right, very good. But still, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people.
Oh,
there,
yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
But right after the holidays, you go up to Clyde, a new team on your schedule out of the Sandusky Bay Lake Division, a team that didn't have a lot of success, but they got you at home, 64-63. What was it about that game, even though their record doesn't show it? Probably some pretty talented kids.
Yeah, they had a couple sophomores that were real good, and, it was a night, we had that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
When we had the level threes, and Monday we got to practice Monday, go play Tuesday, and we just, we weren't very good defensively, Mike, let's be honest, and it was a rude awakening and a gut check for this team, and we faced some adversity, but I give them credit. Out of that, we've responded. And, I've talked with you a lot over the years where that was not a fun night, probably one of the lower points of this season, to be honest.
But as you mentioned, they did respond, and on Friday the 30th, you beat Mohawk here, 58-49, a team that's given you some troubles over the last couple of years. Talented kids, A.J. Hess, Paul Dunn has a great program up there. And then an interesting game with Northmore on Tuesday the 3rd. You get a victory over them, 67-55. It's a win over a former Colonel Crawford player and head coach, Blade Tackett. And I know he respects you very, very much, and I'm sure you do as well. All that aside from, the win, the loss, the game, is it fun coaching against a former player like that? Somebody they have a relationship with?
Just means I'm getting old.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
He was on our first regional team back in 09.
Is that
and then
right?
he graduated 2010. So what that means is I'm getting old when I'm coaching, and this is the third year. And Blade's done a great job. You look, they got a big win last night. They beat Centerburg, who's one of the top in the KMAC, and he's got really good kids. They're all young. He's going to be good, and it's neat seeing guys that, taking what we've done and being successful. It's like our girls, one of the proudest moments is seeing what Coach Bauer's doing. He's running our stuff. He was in our program for 9 years, and
right.
That philosophy, and it's the greatest compliment you can get as a coach when you see your guys like Blade and Coach Bauer being successful as head coaches.
Did he say much to you either before or after game how neat it was to come back and coach in that gym, or is that kind of really an aside?
Nah, we talk always before game, and then after game we've talked, and you compete for 32 minutes. It's not about Blade and I. We're coaching our team, and he's coaching his team. You don't even think about who's at the other end of the floor when you're coaching. So he's doing a great job, and I'm a proud former coach of his. That's for sure.
Then last Saturday, the 7th, another team that's given you fits over the last couple of years, albeit you've been successful against them, is Upper Sandusky. And again, a team that struggled a little bit, but another close game. You defeat them 47-45. It really had its ups and downs. You're up 32-16 with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, feeling pretty good probably. And Coach Winslow's got his guys turned around a little bit. They close out the final 14 minutes on a 29-15 run, but fall just short. And you made a comment to the Telegraph Forum. The second half defensively, I wasn't too happy. What was it about your defense that there were lapses there to allow the Rams back in the game?
We had a lot of breakdowns. We were allowing guys where we talk about how we want to defend them doing things that we don't want them doing. We weren't very disciplined. With some of their drivers, what hand we're forcing them, who was shooters, and, we just had some breakdowns. and that's what happened. And but credit our guys, they grinded it out and they got to win, and that's what matters this time of year. I always say January's the dog days, and this is when league championships are made, because you've got to go and go. A lot of games, 2-3 games a week, and with the weather and all that, and give our guys credit. We took care of business, and then Mohawk beat Cary that night. So as I've told a lot of people over the course of this year, this league has so much parity. Anybody can beat anybody any night out.
Yeah, we've seen that already on the girls' side, and Coach Capel up at Buckeye Central said exactly that when your wife, Amy, knocked the Buckettes at home off last week, and then they defeated Colonel Crawford last night. It's the same way on the boys' side. And I'm sure as coaches, you probably like it that way a little bit better than your haves and your have-nots, although it creates a lot of stress, I'm sure.
It creates a lot of stress, that's for sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to have a couple easy ones, but that's not going to happen this year. And it's fun for the fans and you media guys, because nobody's running away with it. But it's the best way to describe it, it's a grind. That's what it is, because you got to bring it every night, and you got to be great focus. And that's where the second half gets up, where we had a little lack of focus and discipline, I thought, when I made that quote.
Sure. So currently you're sitting at 8-3 overall, 5-1 in the Northern 10 Conference, tied there with Cary. Braxton Baker, leading scorer in the N10 at 21 points per game. And I think you probably had glimpses of this last year and knew what he was capable of from a scoring standpoint. But how proud have you been of him, and not just him? I mean, yeah, he's the leading scorer, and you're counting on him, but really the whole offensive side of it. Yeah, you know about Colonel Crawford's defense, but you're doing what it takes to get the job done on the offensive end, too.
Yeah, Braxton's a special offensive player, and it's because of the time he's put over the years in the gym. But now we're seeing gimmick defenses, and he's doing a good job of finding. The other night, Ethan Holt's our second leading scorer with 11, because Braxton's getting double teamed, and that's what you got to do. You're going to see adjustments throughout the year, and he's done a good job of handling that, because this is the first time where he's the man and he's ever been taken away. Last year he was number 3 behind Studer and Valentine, right. So it's a totally different when you move over a seat and, hey, I'm getting face guard, I'm getting denied, and he's done a good job of handling it. And we got to keep working on the way people are guarding us and how we can attack that type of defenses.
Have you seen or sensed frustration out of him because of that? Because I think against Upper he had, 5 points, something like that? Or is it just one of those things with the maturity of a senior to say, I'll do what I can do, and I expect my teammates to help out and chip in?
Yeah, I think he gets frustrated at times, and our other teammates got to do a better job of getting him open. You get so much on timing, screening, that kind of stuff. And, that's been the nice thing since we haven't played since last Saturday. We've got a great whole week of practice to work on things, things we're seeing and how to attack those, and, trying to show Braxton this is what has to happen when your face guard or teams are double teaming you, that kind of stuff.
Jacob Maddie, second in the N10 in rebounding at 10.7 rebounds per game. Also second in field goal percentage, shooting a blistering 62.8. And when you're big like that and underneath, you're going to get a lot of nice looks, stick backs, things like that. And he's making the most of the touches he gets.
He's having a great season inside. I think he's one of the premier post players with the back to the basket in our league. And he has really bought into that. And, he's the same as Baker. He's getting double teamed at time, and Jacob's a great passer out of the post. So, it's good to see, your program guys, now it's their turn to shine, and they're doing a great job, those two. Last year they were role players on that team, and now they're shining with, what they need to do for us to be successful.
Very good. Take a break here. We'll come back, talk some more in just a moment. We're brought to you in part by Steve Kurtzman and Associates at Innovative Recycling, 352 South Street in Gallion. Coach Tim Plumley at Mohican Sports Medicine in Bucyrus. John Cross at Cross Carpet and Custom Floors, 302 North Seltzer Street, downtown Crestline. And there's a couple questions I wanted to bring up. You mentioned last year Studer and Valentine, and they've gone on. Studer playing Ohio Northern, Valentine at Ashland. Have you kept tabs with them? Have you talked to them much? How they doing? How's things going for them?
Yeah, I check on my guys, and Studer's getting about 15 minutes a game. Comes off the bench, Ohio Northern, doing well. They got a brand new coach. They're right around 500. Carter, he got redshirted.
Okay.
So he got redshirted this year, where he gets his whole year paid for, and they're working to get him stronger, bigger, that kind of stuff. And he's still a scholarship, so he gets an extra year. So it's funny. You tell kids when they're thinking about, I said, you don't understand, it's a different level, and they're like, you know what, coach, you're not the big fish in a small pond and not anymore, and that they're seeing what that's all about. And it's a grind. That college basketball, everybody thinks it's like watching ESPN, and it's not close the same. I did it for 4 years, and it's a job, and they're realizing that. But you got to love the game of basketball or any college sport to play at the next level.
Yeah, it's like you read my mind, because I was going to go exactly there, and it is completely different. You're expected to not only go to class, but all this extra time, weightlifting, film study, all this other stuff, and it is a heck of a lot different. So I appreciate that update. Give us a quick update. I didn't get the final of the JV last night, but they were 10-1, 5-1 going into. That couldn't have been last night because. Oh, you didn't have a game last night. They are 10-1, 5-1 in the conference. Excuse me, I'm getting confused with the girls. So how? Again, great record at this point. Your feeder program.
Yeah.
You got to be happy with that.
They're
Coach
doing a great
Capel.
job, and they're in first place in the JVs. They get the least amount of losses, and it's another great year. And our freshmen only have one loss. We have a full freshman schedule. They only got one loss, and our 8th grades win. Our 7th grades only got 2 losses. So it's all the way down. And when you're old like me and you've been here 17 years, that's what you're most proud of. It's not just a one-hit wonder, of 1 year and down. We've had consistency year in and year out, and it's because of the feeder program and the excellent coaches that I'm blessed to have down there running our stuff. You go down to the 7th and 8th grade game, it's like watching our JV and varsity.
Yeah.
And, our kids come up through the program knowing what expectations are, so it's not new when they get to the high school level.
We talk about January and February being that grind. You've used that term already tonight, and we're probably about 6 weeks away from the end of the season. So you're cramming a lot of games, 11 games in the next 6 weeks, and then the tournament comes. And share with the fans, if you will, this new concept of the RPI and what it means from a seeding standpoint for not only boys but girls basketball in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, they're using Martin's RPI, the Northwest District, and it's very similar to the Harbin ratings that we use in football. The first ones came out Sunday for boys, last Sunday for girls. And if you look, the first one, Division 4, the Willard District, we were the one, Seneca East 2. And we've got 3 losses, and there's like Christian that has 2 losses, Lucas 2 losses. But you're looking at strength of schedule as well. So it's really taking on who the strength of schedule. Now, if you're playing all cupcakes, as I would say, and beating them, you're not going to be as good as if you're beating teams that are good. And it's a whole thing. You can go to Martin's RPI. It's a website. It's awesome. It has the girls breakdown, Coach Bauer, where they are, the boys, and it's a great thing. And I'm a proponent for it. Some coaches aren't. I am, because I think that really tells you. It takes the voting of meet coach, hey, I think this guy or this. The schedules don't lie in who you beat and that. So I think it's a good thing. Now, when we get to the seeding, coaches will still get to this. Excuse me. Coaches will still get to decide where they go in the bracket. It's not like football or NCAA seeding where it's 1-14, 2-13.
Yeah.
The coaches will still get to decide. All the Martin's RPI does is going to say 1 through 14 who the seeds are. Then you'll go first seed coach, second seed, and go down the line. So it's a pilot Northwest District. And, the OHSA is behind it, but they're sort of letting us do it first because this Brendan Martin, who did it, is from Northwest Ohio.
Oh, okay. So ideally, if you're a 1 and somebody else is a 2, the one's going to go the top half or the bottom half, and the other one's going to go opposite, and you're still going to get to go where you want to go. You just got first choice of where you want to go.
Now, I've seen crazy things over the last 17 years. You don't know what some coaches are going to do in tournament draws. I've seen some crazy things. So who knows what people are going to do. A lot of people keep their cards to their chest. And so we'll see how it plays out. And, you can look at his website anytime.
Yeah, I've been on it.
It's a really neat thing, and it's strength. And it's like, look at last year, we were ranked number 1 by the media, which the media doesn't know what they're talking about half the time, Sparksy.
Yeah.
And the Martin's RPI had Otto Glandorf ahead of Colonel Crawford. Well, guess what? Otto Glandorf played a lot better schedule than Colonel Crawford, and we saw in the regional final what happened.
Sure.
So I think it's good, and with technology and what they do with the computer rankings football, it takes all the bias of coaches out. Coaches are still going to put themselves on the line where they want to go.
Yeah, it's not a popularity contest
No,
anymore.
and that's what it should be. It should be who the best teams are getting seeded first, second, and so on.
Yeah.
Not necessarily how many wins, but who's beating good teams, and that has to play into effect as well.
Sure, makes perfect sense. We're brought to you in part by Terry Gribble and Associates at your Gallion Community Center, YMCA, Dr. Erica Schieber at Bucyrus Veterinary Service, 222 West Mary Street in Bucyrus, Rod Steiger and Associates at the Pizza Hut in Gallion and Bucyrus, host of our show since 1992, and Luann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, Screen Printing and Signs, the official foam board t-shirt provider, Route 309, across from the Marion Depot. Big one coming up. in that it's the Battle Route 602, just like it was the girls' version. I'll be talking with Coach Zach Bauer here in just a moment. You're going to head up to New Washington to play Tom Howe and the Buckeye Central Bucks, a game that you won 50-35 back on the 3rd of December. And they're currently 4-8 overall, 1-6 in the Northern 10. But you've been around, as you say, so often, and you know those kids up in New Washington, they never quit, they never hang their heads. They're always going to play tough, regardless of what their record says they are. They're always going to get after it, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, and I think the thing Buckeye does is they just muck things up. You know, they're going to play a deliberate style offensively. They're going to work to get great shots. They're going to defend. They're going to play and try to take your weaknesses defensively away, and Tom does a good job of that. So, and, you know, going to Buckeye, it's a tough place to play, you know, heading up there. So, you know, like I said, we're in a good place right now, but any night, anything can happen in this league. And we've got to have great focus. We've had good focus this week. It's been nice having a whole week of practice because now we're getting into a schedule of a ton of games, and there's not going to be a lot of nights off. So you got to keep legs fresh this time of year, but you also got to work on what needs to be effective to, you know, keep growing as a basketball team. Speak
about a tough weekend, another tough place to play. Saturday, you head to the Cub Cave down at Lucas. Coach Eisman, a lot of those kids that have had so much success on the football field are playing basketball, likely going to be a pretty physical team and a former NCC foe, but now you don't see them as often. But another team that you could likely face in the tournament as a D4, 8-2 overall, 5-0 in the MBC. That'll be a tough one, won't it?
That's a great game for us. You know, the doggone AD last year scheduled this like Crestview's undefeated. And it's part of the reason in the RPI we're number one. Yeah. We got more losses than people in our district, but we're playing a tough schedule.
Right.
And, you know, this is going to be a great game. Lucas has the most kids back in this D4 district. If you look at who has everybody back, they're tough kids. It's going to be a physical battle going down. It's a tough place to play. And last year when we went D4 in the spring, I called Coach Eisman. He was the AD, and I said, hey, we want to come to your place. We wanted to go down there and play them, just you know, play because we know that these kids, I mean, it's very similar to schools to us. They're very good in football. They're very good in basketball. And Taylor does a great job down there, and it will be a war for 32 minutes Saturday night. But the good thing about non-league is there's nothing to lose. Right. You know, you want to win this game, but it's not like it's a tournament. The league's not on the line because then next Wednesday, we play Fredericktown, who already beat Lucas.
Right.
So it doesn't get any easier. And then later down the road in non-league Ontario. So our non-league schedule is a meat grinder. But that's why we've been to so many district finals and regionals. You know, hey, we need to play those good teams. So when you get in a tough situation in a district semi or a section final, you've dealt with that in the regular season, and that's why our program's out, why we play those type of teams. I don't want to play, you know, bad teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mike.
No, it makes perfect sense. Well, take care of business on Friday as you head up to New Washington, and should be a dandy game. It'll be on WQEL, and then try to cap it off with a win down at Lucas. Always a tough place to play, but really great experiences for your kids and just making them stronger all the way around.
Yep.
I appreciate you coming out tonight, and we will catch up here in a few weeks.
Sounds good.
All right, you take care.
Thanks, Mike.
We'll be back and talk with Coach Zach Bauer and the girls program right after this timeout.